The China-India border dispute is multifaceted and has historical, geopolitical, and strategic dimensions. The tensions at the disputed Chinese-Indian border, where around 100,000 troops are garrisoned at remote outposts, rarely makes international headlines. But it is one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. In 2020, clashes at the border left over 20 soldiers dead, marking the most significant fighting between China and India since the two countries fought a war in 1962. In the last 4 years, both sides have sought to build up infrastructure and position yet more troops along the border. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has sought to deepen India's alignment with the United States and other countries wary of Beijing. He has embraced India's new role as a counterbalance to China in the Indo-Pacific. Here are some of the key reasons behind it. The border between China and India was never formally demarcated along its entire length. Historical records and agreements between the British colonial rulers of India and the Chinese government are ambiguous and conflicting, leading to differing interpretations of the border alignment. The main point of contention lies in the eastern sector of the border, where India asserts the McMahon Line as the legal boundary in the region of Arunachal Pradesh. However, China rejects the McMahon Line, claiming that it was never legally binding and that it represents an arbitrary imposition by British colonial authorities. In a sign of its intensifying bid with Asian allies to collectively contain China's aggressive attitude, the Biden administration, apparently on its own initiative, has formally declared for the first time its recognition of Arunachal Pradesh as an Indian territory, and simultaneously its opposition to any unilateral move or incursion beyond the line of actual control. In the western sector, China controls the Aksai Chin region, which India claims as part of the Union territory of Ladakh. China gained control of Aksai Chin in the 1950s and built a strategic highway through the region, further complicating the dispute. Control over the disputed border regions has significant strategic implications for both China and India. It involves access to natural resources, strategic military positioning, and influence over neighboring regions, including Tibet. The border dispute is closely linked to issues of sovereignty and national pride for both countries. Domestic political considerations, public sentiment, and historical narratives play a significant role in shaping the stance of each country on the issue. China and India are two of the most populous and rapidly developing countries in the world. Their competition for influence in the region, particularly in South Asia and the Indian Ocean, adds another layer of complexity to the border dispute. Despite several rounds of negotiations and confidence-building measures, a comprehensive resolution to the border dispute has remained elusive. Both countries have different perspectives on the issue and have been unable to agree on a mutually acceptable solution. Overall, the China-India border dispute is a complex issue with deep historical roots and significant contemporary implications, reflecting broader geopolitical dynamics in the Asia-Pacific region. Resolving the China-India border dispute is a challenging task that requires both countries to demonstrate political will, compromise, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence. While a definitive solution may be elusive in the short term, several recommendations could help manage and mitigate tensions along the border. Both countries should prioritize diplomatic channels to address the border dispute. Regular high-level meetings, such as the Special Representatives' talks, should continue with a focus on finding common ground and building trust. Implementing confidence-building measures, such as hotlines between military commanders, joint military exercises, and border personnel meetings, can help prevent misunderstandings and de-escalate tensions along the border. Establishing clear protocols for border management, including rules of engagement for troops stationed along the border, can help prevent border incursions and minimize the risk of confrontations. In enhancing transparency regarding military deployments, infrastructure development, and border activities can reduce suspicions and build confidence between the two countries. Encouraging track to dialogues involving think tanks, academics, and civil society members from both countries can provide alternative perspectives and creative solutions to the border dispute. Deepening economic cooperation and trade ties between China and India can create mutual interdependence and incentives for maintaining stability along the border. consideration could be given to involving impartial third-party mediators or international organizations to facilitate negotiations and offer impartial recommendations for resolving the dispute. Investing in long-term confidence-building measures, such as cultural exchanges, educational programs, and people-to-people contacts, can foster mutual understanding and goodwill between the peoples of China and India. China and India share common challenges such as climate change, terrorism, and economic development. Collaborating on these issues can create opportunities for cooperation and improve bilateral relations. Both countries must demonstrate patience, persistence, and a long-term commitment to resolving the border dispute through peaceful means, understanding that it may require time and multiple rounds of negotiations to reach a lasting solution. By implementing these recommendations and maintaining a constructive approach, China and India can work towards reducing tensions along the border and building a stable and mutually beneficial relationship.